For this prompt, I'm obviously going to use the first sentence of the book as my evidence, but I'm going to split it into two parts and only use what I need to prove my point. Why, I hear you ask? Because, dear students, I want you to do as little writing as possible. No, really. Fewer words makes for stronger writing. Why put a bunch of stuff in a paragraph that doesn't help prove your point? That's like adding too much water to Kool-Aid. We want stronger, yummier Kool-Aid. Writing. What am I talking about? Oh, right, evidence. For my first piece of evidence, I'm using I never had a brain until Freak came along and let me borrow his. Notice I only took what I needed and left out the part that says, for a while, and that's the truth, the whole truth. This is a good piece of evidence for this prompt because it is the first sentence of the book, so it relates well to my claim. If you're working on your own CER paragraph now, pause the video and find some really strong evidence to support your claim. Don't write the evidence down yet, just pick what you want to use. Now, we can't just plop the evidence on paper and call it good. We need to make the ideas flow so that our reader isn't confused. If you just started reading the quote without knowing where it came from or why it's there, you'd wonder what this goofy writer is up to. So we should add in what's called an introduction to a quote, something to let your reader know they're going to read a part of the text next. Here's a basic way to do that. The text states, "That's not the best transition, and it doesn't work for every instance, but it does for this one because it tells the reader they're about to read a quote." Normally, you'll want to cite your evidence after your quote, but that's a different lesson. Pause the video and write an intro to your quote and your quote. What's really going to make my point clear is my reasoning, which is my explanation of how the evidence proves the claim. This is where you put what's in your brain on paper. Otherwise, your readers are trying to guess what you mean, and that's never good. So my reasoning makes the connection between claim and evidence. Here's what I've got. The reader will wonder how the narrator could not have a brain and how this person could have borrowed someone else's. That's a shocking thing to hear since it's necessary for speech, so it incites curiosity. Booyah! Can't argue with that clear explanation, can ya? Pause the video and see if you can explain how your evidence proves your claim now. Remember, I need to have two pieces of evidence here, so here goes the second. Don't forget I need an introduction or transition so my writing isn't choppy and you aren't confused. In the second part of that first sentence, the narrator, Max, says, "And that's the truth, the whole truth." See how I introduced that quote so you didn't think I was the one saying the quote? This evidence works for the same reason the first one did. It relates to the prompt and is concise. Go ahead and write your second intro and evidence for your own assignment now. We'll finish up this CER with some explanation or reasoning. The way he phrases this reminds readers of a person taking an oath in court, which would make someone wonder what he's trying to prove or hide. What a great technique to get the reader interested in the rest of the story. Do you see me explaining how this quote proves the claim? Do the same in your own writing. Check that your writing flows well, you've proved your claim, the reader won't be confused, and make sure you know how awesome you are. If you have any doubts about that, ask your mama or your dog. They'll tell you.